Guys, welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothy, and we're going to talk about the month of March. Now, March is a beautiful month. Okay, it's a Neptunian month. It's full of all kinds of sweetness. It's the birth of the new year on the spring equinox in terms of astrologically creating a new year. I'm going to do a separate video on that because I really want to compare last year's birth chart, Greenwich Mean Time, to this year's birth chart. But already at a glance, it's going to be a sweet rebirth on the spring equinox on the 20th of March. I'm going to do a separate video as well for this glorious and magical and profound March 13th moon that we're going to have. And it is a new moon with all kinds of Neptunian and Venusian magic. I'm even going to do a course, and you might want to check it out once I share it with the world. It'll be in the description box below, a daytime webinar to celebrate this moon and create some really good new moon magic together using astro-shamanic techniques. So stay tuned for that. I might have it in the description box by the time you're watching this video, which is being recorded on February the 28th. Now, I want to say this, that the energy of March is like a sweet amrita, a nectar, a kind of a relief for all of us. I mean, it's just the transits. There's a lot of Neptune contact going on in the chart, a lot of Sun and Venus stuff happening, and that feeling is one of benefic, releasing, enriching, and nourishing change. And honestly, the birth chart for the next year, March to March, looks also much more like a sigh of relief and so much less tension than what the birth chart of the world was like last year with that Pluto, Saturn, South Node, Jupiter, Mars, stellium in Capricorn. And in the birth chart of the world, it was in the 12th house using Greenwich Mean Time. So, already it looked like it was going to be a difficult year. And this looks like such a breath of fresh air. And so I'm going to do that as a separate video, but I want to do an all signs here. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be looking at the all signs, and I'm going to pick one of the aspects that I think is the best one to use. I think I'm going to use the conjunction of Mercury and Jupiter, and they're going to be trining the North Node and sextiling the South Node. That forms a wedge, and wedges are very much about a potential breakthrough. And this is on the nodes of destiny, and some kind of breakthrough energy coming through that Jupiter conjunction with Mercury, and that's going to happen on March the 5th. So it's really early in the month, but it'd be fun to look at the all signs iteration of that and give you a little bit of this week's goodness, first week of March goodness. Also, when I look at the month in general, besides this sort of Venusian and Neptunian overlay, there's also the feeling that because all planets are going direct, nobody's retrograde, and even finally Mercury is direct and even out of shadow, then whoa, things that were stuck and stalled are flowing. Things that were held up are moving. And, with the invisibility factor, Saturn was invisible to around the 12th maybe of in the sky until the 12th of February, and then Jupiter invisible until at least the 22nd, but even depending where you live, maybe closer to the end of February. Now Jupiter can be seen in the sky as a morning star, so can Saturn, and that is now meaning that they're available and they're up and running and they're all powered up. And anyone who's ruled by those planets like me, like I'm an Aquarius rising, I felt sloggy. So Aquarius and Cap rising, Sun and Moon people, you might have felt like, why is this year so slow? Why am I treading water? Why is it like molasses? I can't get anything going. And, that was true because of the invisibility of your ruler, Saturn, or, ruler of your sun or moon, or ideally your ascendant. And similarly, for the Jupiter people, when he was invisible, if you're Pisces rising, if you're Sag rising, or those sun and moons, you too kind of felt like you knew things were supposed to feel really good, but everything kind of felt sludgy and like underwater, and like it's like when you're underwater and you can hear sound above you but you can't quite interpret it. So those invisible planets are now up and running, and they're no longer not active in the outer plane. So for those Sagittarius, Pisces, Capricorn, Aquarian rising, and Sun, Moon, Ascendant people, we're feeling a lot better in March than we felt in February. That's the basic bottom line. And on top of that, the other good news is that Venus, even though she's invisible in the sky, will be going into the heart of the sun And so people who are Venus ruled, Taurus rising, Libra rising people, or sun and moon, you might not feel so great in March, right? You're still waiting for that visible Venus, and she doesn't become visible until near the end of April, I think around the 27th or 8th or so. So yeah, for you guys, you've got a bit of a delay in this goodness of Venus being invisible and then going into the heart of the sun on March the 25th. That's a cazimi. That is Venus rebirthing herself, going combust and then cazimi into the heart of the sun in the lap of the king, taking divine instructions and coming out the other end to be born again from her current status as a morning star, although now she's invisible. You can't see her in the morning, into the evening star. If you live in Australia, you might still be able to see her, but I don't think much longer. Southern Hemisphere has a longer time to see her in the morning before she's entirely invisible. But the idea is that her cazimi is a very powerful thing, and it's happening around the 25th, 26th of March. And I really want to talk about that in a separate video, because it shows where somewhere in your life you're being reborn in terms of what Venus wants to do for you. And that kind of rebirth in Aries happens once every 4 years in your chart. So stay tuned for that separate video. So like, subscribe, comment, check my description box below for sales. Share my video. I'm trying to grow my channel. I feel the algorithm, I don't know what it is, guys. I always complain about it, but you know, I feel like I got algorithmic doghouse punishment from a year and a half ago when I changed the name and the focus of the channel from ascension and ascension waves and magic and synchronicity to astrology. And I'm just trying to figure out how to like get back again. So if you don't mind liking and subscribing. And for those of you who thumbs down, I don't know who does that kind of thing, honestly. Like if I don't like somebody's video, I don't go thumbs down. You know? Why? What don't you like? Just leave, just leave quietly. All right, let's start off with a talk about my view of Mercury and Jupiter co-combining and meshing their energies together in the sign of Aquarius. So Jupiter is in Aquarius, and he's bound to Lord Saturn, who's co-present with him and owns the house. So you have to do a trail of command, really. So Mercury will be more or less participating in joint resourcefulness around the dictates and the priorities of Saturn in Aquarius. So wherever Aquarius falls in your chart, for me, it's my first house. Saturn is stricture, discipline, focus, determination, sobriety, solitude, and the determination to do whatever it is you think you need to do. And, you know, he's got the show of my first house. So right now I'm like doing a vegan cleanse, I'm doing yoga, teacher training, 300 hours with a dear friend of mine. And there's a special offer for that 300-hour yoga teacher training for people who are on my newsletter. So if you're not a subscriber, please go down below. I'm sending that out this week to give you guys like a major discount on a really yoga farm yoga teacher training program. I'm going to do the 300 hours. And so I'm getting disciplined with my body, right? So Saturn is wanting me to do that. He's in Aquarius in the house of my body, the first house. But then now Jupiter comes in with Mercury. I mean, they're there already, but they combine forces tightly together. They talk right on top of each other. And that is on the 4th of March and even into the 5th. And they are literally like not a bad combination. Why? Well, Jupiter was always using Mercury to dispense messages from Mount Olympus, right? He was like kind of the mailman for Jupiter. So what news is going to come to you? What new ideas may come to you? And what, you know, positive information might come to you? Jupiter is benefic. Mars is a god of news, info, and ideas. Around March the 4th, that Saturn says is good for you. So if this was happening in your 4th house, it'd be about real estate goodness. If it was happening in your 7th house, marriage goodness, and your 10th house, career goodness. Stay tuned for the all signs, and I'll have timestamps like I always do. Now, you know, the North Node, South Node in energy being added to the mix, right? The North Node through the sky in Gemini is asking us all to look at new ideas, to think about skills learning, to propel collectively away from that North Node in Cancer. Cancer was why we have the inflated housing market. That Cancer North Node transit began basically in the summer of 2018 and kind of completed up at the end of 20. So, well, actually technically in June of 2020. So now we've got the North Node in Gemini. So really it's like an overripe banana. The housing market, real estate market, inflation in the United States and even in Canada is like a banana that's overripe, or a fruit that's on the vine, but it's now turning pulpy because it didn't fall yet. It will fall, it will correct. And so with now the North Node in Gemini, there's a stronger urge or call for new directions collectively, ideas, skills-based learning, domestic travel, online social media platforms are naturally ruled by the third house, which is Gemini's normal house. So a growth of new online social media platforms. I'm on Clubhouse. I love it. I just sort of love it. It's audio. I love it. And I'm not sure about it too, because sometimes I think I can get sucked into social media too much, and I want to ground my body in the here and now. But that is said, I'm liking that it's audio. Just after I get my hair purple, it doesn't matter if anyone sees me. You got to laugh at that, right? So my feeling is the North Node Gemini, okay, depending on where it falls in your chart. For me, Gemini is in the house of the muse, the house of creativity, the house of my children, the house of fun, joy, play, and pleasure, the house of romance. This Jupiter Mercury could activate my fifth, North Node transit right now and bring some new expansion, growth, or opportunity that's good for me in my fifth house. I'm single. Maybe I'll find a guy or a girl. I'm happy with either, really. Okay, so I am going to share the chart in a sec for all signs. Is there anything I want to say about the month ahead? The thing with the month ahead is I don't want to belabor every little detail, right? I'll have videos coming out for the Kazemi. I'll have a video coming out for the rebirth of the world. I'll have a video coming out for maybe the Neptune contact that's coming up, in which Neptune and the Sun come together on March the 10th, which is once a year, right? But it's still a noteworthy time frame, an event in which something is happening. Is there anything else I want to say? I've just got my transit chart in front of me after glancing at this kind of Neptunian, dreamy relief we're going to get with Venus and Neptune doing a lot of the action in the next month, and benefic Venus, even though she's invisible, behind the scenes magic and behind the scenes goodness. And anything that happens with Venus in March, you're really going to see the fullness of it after the end of April when she's visible again. So just think about like a chef in the kitchen saying, "Don't come in, I'm still cooking. Don't want to spoil the dinner surprise," or something. She's doing something behind the scenes, or a set decorator, and then the curtains open, and the curtains open in May. So the goodness of Venus this month in her joining with the Sun, we're all going to see in our lives more or less in May when she's visible again. All right, I think that's all I want to say in general. I will be talking about the moons like the 13th of March on a separate video, so stay tuned for that. I think that's about it. Let's go ahead and do the all signs. I'm going to be pithy because I have a client, and then you can see what you always tell when I have a client right after I'm recording because I'm talking quickly. Share the screen and let's roll. All signs portion of March. So to begin, let's talk about, I don't want to start with Taurus because Taurus is here. I probably should, but I don't like confusing people. So let's move to the classic Aries gets to start the show. Me first, by triple Aries stellium. I do know that about myself. Me first. And someone says, "Any questions?" I always have my hand up in class, or "Who'd like to go first?" I go, "I'll do it." All right, so let's take a peek at you guys. And there is that combination of the two of these guys together. Technically, it's at 17 degrees, so please ignore the fact that it's not perfect. This is happening on March the 4th and 5th. And the two of them are holding hands at the 17th degree on the March 4th, 5th time frame. And over those couple of days, they are in a relationship to the North Node, a trine to the North Node, and a sextile to the South, a wedge. The wedge is the tension between the nodes of fate or destiny, and the resolution of a wedge is in the place where the wedge touches. There. You know what? I'm going to make this even simpler maybe and just get rid of a bunch of people in this chart. So give me a second while I get rid of them. Goodbye, Venus. I love eliminating people. Who else did I want to get rid of? Give me a minute, guys. Do I want to get rid of Venus? Yes. You can even get rid of the Sun because I know where the Sun is. And we want to get rid of Neptune. I just want to simplify the visuals. Yeah. All right. And every time I do this, I can't tell where my share went. All right. So you can see that the energy is being directed to the North Node very tightly, very strongly, and behind the story of the South Node. So here we go, Aries. What does this mean for you in practical terms? Aries, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, especially Ascendant. Well, there is energy coming from your third house of siblings, travel, trips, short trips, especially domestic, ideas, skills-based learning, marketing, merchandising, social media platforms, that is going to be given some kind of new messaging, information, and lucky opportunity vis-a-vis Jupiter and Mercury in your house of groups you belong to, associations, tribes, friends and allies who benefit you, your hopes, dreams, and wishes. Now, for example, I have a pending Clubhouse application. I'm an Aries sun, moon, and I'm waiting to get approved. Maybe I'll get approval on the 3rd and 4th for my Real Astrology Clubhouse. That would be an example, especially because the 11th house can be the communities we form on the social media platforms. I find the 3rd house usually operates as the platform itself, like Facebook or YouTube, and that the collective energy of tribal community formed through those platforms is the 11th house, which is interesting, isn't it? Because I think Clubhouse is really almost all about being in the club, right? And the 11th house is what's your club, what's your tribe, what's your belonging, the app Clubhouse. And you can also experience, some of you, the possibility with the South Node in the 9th house is even more letting go or releasing and surrendering in a good way of things that have to do with the 9th house, like the yearning to travel to a foreign land, or the desire to go to higher education endeavors, or the desire to find a guru or spiritual attainment stuff. You're kind of softening there, and you're moving towards skills-based education, local endeavors, local community, all of that. This is a local hood, bars, pubs, and restaurants, if you're into that, and if anything's open yet. Some of you Aries might find a lucky energy coming out of that corner of the chart, the pie slice of your chart. Taurus sun, moon, and especially ascendant. Guys, look at your ascendant first, and then if you're born at night, your sun, and in the day, if you're born at night, your moon, and the day, your sun. So Taurus, this is an energy that's constellating some kind of good news and breakthrough energy in your 10th house of career. Now, career is a general word for the 10th house. It's your action in the world. For instance, if you're a student full-time, it is your job or your purpose to be a student. If you're a housemaker, I mean, you know, and your purpose is to raise the children, and that's what you're doing right now, that kind of thing. But it's your action in the world is most commonly the typically called the career house. So for some of you Tauruses, there's going to be this good news, this good information, or this good idea, Jupiter good, Mercury information, news, or ideas around that are part of the nodes of destiny. And this North Node is propelling you to work on income, to find new endeavors over the next year, 2021. This is a new story. Where is my money coming from? What's my resources? And you know, the deeper meaning of the 2nd house is voice. Like, it comes from the Latin word for vocare, for to call, which is also the root of vocation, the word vocation. Often we miss that piece of the 2nd house, which is that, yes, we get our income and our money and our resources and our possessions here, but it's because we usually have a calling, a vocation, and a voice in the world. So we're not getting it otherwise, really, unless you're getting 8th house inheritance money. So yeah. So a lot of you Tauruses are trying to figure out your money story in 21 and where you want to drive this flow of revenue and income and possessions that support your survival and thrival. And now you're going to get some lucky news, a lucky break, some opportunity opening up in the 4th and 5th of March. And you're letting go a bit more of reliance on 8th house money, grants, stipends, disability pensions, tax rebates, and all of that. I'm laughing because my daughter's a Taurus sun, and she's been trying to like milk the money system around, you know, the grants for the government for students and stuff. But it's like, now let go of that. It's time to find your hustle. So a lot of you Tauruses are going to have a breakthrough in that area. Gemini, sun, moon, and especially ascendant. You are going to experience this breakthrough in the 9th house of foreign lands and book publishing and learning, higher education, and possibly this can be about spiritual attainment and gurus and religious beliefs and traditions around that. So its study up here is higher ed, and it's really, you know, it's a longer term study. Like my 1-year program with the Chuta Bhava in Hellenistic astrology, I consider that a 9th house education because it required a year, required a testing, you know, but skills-based education down here, you know, I'm going to learn how to macrame, crochet, you know, how to fire up a kiln, that kind of thing. So some of this educational piece might be very important. Jupiter rules education. He'll be there all through 21. Mercury now combines with him, and there's a lucky break, a lucky opportunity. I mean, on a very practical note, some Geminis might have applied for a university or college, and you get your application received and stamped a yes, you know, or something. in the first week of March, March 4th and 5th especially. Now, the propulsion is towards your identity. Who are you? What is your character? I mean, North Node through your house of me, I, all through 2021. It's really a call to discover more about you and to propel yourself into full expression of the Gemini character you're here to play. So it's an identity forming opportunity. It might maybe help pivot your identity in a positive direction. And you might have to let go a little bit then, the South Node of, focusing on your primary spouse, your partner, your others, your clients, letting go of the fixation a bit on others as a call of 21. More you focus on you in a healthy way in 2021, the more goodness you're going to have. And it's another video, but with Mars in your sign for 6 weeks, including all of March, a lot of drive and ambition and energy is going for you Geminis into you being you, and you getting a lot of momentum by making executive command decisions about expressing yourself as a Gemini, an ideas person, I don't know, you say a mutable person, a changeable person. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I like mutability means flexibility. So being flexible, but this drive, this ambition energy is really strong in your character, ambitiously pursuing your ideas, for instance, in this month of March. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, you're going to find that this is an energy that's truly activating your money house and your resources, whose spouse's money. Jupiter here in 2021 can bring you a lot of good luck, especially for your spouse if you're married financially. He can expand your money, your savings, your investments. You can have lucky tax rebates. And if you want to apply for loans, you're golden, you'll get what you want. Jupiter's blessing that part of your chart in 2000. If you have credit card debt, you can pay it off. Jupiter kind of expands what he touches, and that can be a little cautionary tale not to max out the debt. But overall, Jupiter is a blessing. And so he's trying to bless the money story. Now, what happens is that this now Jupiter is in a house of secrets, and Mercury is the whisperer of secrets, or telling the truth, or spilling the beans. So there could be an expansion or uncovering of something that was hidden from your view in any area of your life, honestly. But this could also be a very lucky opportunity, a revealing moment of something that you didn't see that gives you an opportunity financially. And that is going to be talking to this 12th house North Node. Now, for you Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants, this is a very subtle transit. I mean, the North Node and the 12th, you might want to spend more time alone, introspective, solitude is solace, a kind of a hermit vibe could happen for you. You might be very invested in your inner life during 2021, but also, there's a sense of, where your self-undoing is, and your self-defeating habits can often be the 12th house. And so North Node is bringing your attention there in 21. So a message or an opportunity about self-defeating habits and patterns, or a message and opportunity about some introspective contemplative tradition or path that you're on. Yeah. There's not much else to say. The South Node is asking you in 21 to let go, surrender. Loss is goodness, in spiritual attainment land, in the 6th house of work. If you're confused about your work, or you hate your work, or you're Cancer rising who doesn't want to be working where they're working, this can be a year in which you let go of that path. All right. This is a house of health protocols. You're also asked Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Don't be so serious about your health right now. Like, yes, do all the things you need to do, but don't fixate on like everything has to do with being healthy. All right. No. All right. Leo, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. This is going to be an activation for you guys of an opportunity or a new idea or a lucky break of some kind. It could come through emails and messages with Mercury, right? Phone calls as well. In your 7th house of business partnerships, clients, audiences, others, including marriage partner. So this could be a lucky break for your marriage partner. With Jupiter in your 7th through out most of 2021, the call is for good luck and opportunities to open up for your significant other. But also you get some of that luck too, but it's in the house of others. So if you're looking for an amazing teacher, a Jupiter in your 7th house could bring you a great guide, guru, or teacher in 2021. With Mercury here, there's a message or opportunity or news or information coming to you on the 4th or 5th of March that is going to activate as well bringing into the story the North Node in your 11th house of good spirit. Now, this is a house where you can have windfalls or pennies from heaven. It's a house of great financial gain from your career. It is a house where you could also experience friends who want to do favors for you, or, people who just like really want to help you somehow, benefits and benefactors, allies, all of that. It's a house of belonging and groups. So good news is that you're expanding your connection, Leos, to other groups and tribes in 2021, as well as you're opening the floodgates here for letting people help you and maybe having some good windfalls come to you in 21. And with the North Node transiting your 11th, and this is an opportunity moment for some good news to develop along those themes. While at the same time, the South Node says, let go of your 5th house preoccupations, romance, your home artist studio, the house of performance, the house of children. If you're overly fixated on your children, there's something wrong with that. I mean, we need to be parental, but like, don't make them, right now it's a little bit like loosening the leash on children in your life. Or if you were seeking true love and you're like frustrated, let it go for a while. The North Node says, find good friends, find good companions of destiny. Oh, there we are. I'll forward to move forward. Virgo, sun, moon, and ascendant. You're experiencing this energy of this opportunity and breakthrough luck and good news, information, etc., that Mercury and Jupiter can combine to create for you in your work house. Now, some of you Virgos, and don't forget, when I say work house, yes, it's your job, it's your work, and it's your health protocols as well. Like, what do you do for your well-being of your body to prevent sickness? But look at your life in the context of your story. If you're unemployed, it doesn't mean nothing good is going to come to you. Okay, this is the house of karmic debt too. So no way you could pay off a karmic debt without knowing it by having something good happen here. So this is happening here in that 6th house, and the North Node is in the career house, which really makes me think that this is going to be more of a work career axis for you than anything. With the North Node in the career house through 21, you're being called to really expand your sense of what your true purpose is. And for you guys, there's that Mars collaborator, lots of ambition and drive around your reputation, your career, your focus on what you want to do when you grow up. And I have to qualify that for you Virgos who are already like happily employed or say a student. It doesn't mean that this doesn't matter. Something here is going to happen that reorients your focus around your career or what you think your career should be. And this good news moment could be a breakthrough through a colleague or somebody in the workplace, or somebody in your, or if it's about health, it could be some good news from a health practitioner about you, or a breakthrough bit of news or an opportunity, Jupiter opportunity, Mercury news, an opportune bit of news to increase your well-being. But again, looking again at how this affects your career direction as well. You're also looking at the 4th house, letting go of the home. Now, hey, I don't know, some of you guys with the South Node transit in 21 are going to move, right? Some of you Virgo, sun, moon, and ascendants may sell a home, forfeit your lease, move to a new house, rent a new place, sell a new place, buy a new place, all of those stories. And, that transit is in play until the end of this year of the South Node going through that part of the chart. And it started in May. For instance, I know a Virgo rising, my daughter, and she had to move in September very suddenly with unexpected reasons. And she's having the South Node, letting go of home through the 4th. Also letting go of the root of the chart, which is the mother in the tradition I use. And my daughter and I have been really working on interdependence and letting go of our maybe bit of an enmeshment, codependence that we had formed together in the wake of some difficult circumstances in her life with her father. So I would say that, for a lot of Virgo risings, even if you've moved once, you may be moving again in 2021. And this opportune time with this wedge that's forming could mean that March 3rd and 4th, there's some good news around not only what you do in the world, but where you live in the world. Moving on. Libra, sun, moon, and ascendant. This is going to be an activation of goodness in the romance house. If you're a single Libra, maybe love will knock on your door. Knock, knock. Maybe an email, maybe a dating app, Jupiter, opportunity. Something new, something good. This is the house of children. Something good for your children could emerge. Good news on the 4th or 5th of March coming out of the children's story. Certainly, if you're a Libra and want to get pregnant, this could also be like, oh my God, the pregnancy test says yes on the 3rd or 4th of March. Now, the North Node in the 9th house is propelling some of you Libras to really look at Dharma, your true calling and purpose in life. The 9th is a Dharma house. It's also a call to spiritual truth, wisdom, and kind of connecting to the divine essence. And what are your true ideals and beliefs? It can be the house of court and legal affairs, like the courts themselves. And so, if you're under any legal storylines right now, when you expect a court date or something to happen, this would be an opportune thing where good news comes in legal matters. And I also could say that you could experience this Mars up there as well as getting momentum in those matters, things finally moving forward aggressively and successfully, whether it's legal or has to do with really lining up all the dots of your purpose and getting on board with what you think you're here to do. Some of you Libras will deal with, of course, let it go of the 3rd house. Now, the 3rd house is like short-term trips and travel. Yeah, like COVID, we've all done that. It's, siblings, letting go of sibling issues, like, forgive and forget, let it go, bury the hatchet. South Node down there could also be about, it's a time this year to let go of skills-based learning or skills-based teaching. Like I have a friend who's a shaman who's a Libra sun, I think. Yeah. And she's now doing this long 8-month, 9-month mentorship program. That's a 9th house education that she's offering her people. They're going to be certified as shamans in her tradition, as opposed to a bunch of little mini workshops that she was doing. So letting go of that kind of thing. So a lot of you Libras will let go of the busy cadent 3rd house activities and move toward the more loftier goals of the 9th house over the next year. And this is a bit of a twisty opportunity coming out of that 5th house of romance. Now, the 5th house is inspiration, the muse, the spark of joy, play, and pleasure, being sparked there by some inspiring idea. Mercury can speak to us in our inner imagination, not just through the mailbox or the e-box. Scorpio, sun, moon, and especially ascendant. This is an activation in the real estate zone of your chart. This is good news coming about where you live. And it could be about, a new opportunity around a new location. Could be a nice development around your home. If you're thinking of selling, a great offer coming in. If you're thinking of renting, a great new opportunity to rent. If you're thinking of, buying, a great opportunity to buy. If you're thinking of moving or even not, an opportunity to move may arise March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But good things are happening in and around the home. Now, the North Node is the 8th house, and that's finances, right? Bank loans, credit cards, stipends and grants and inheritances. It's money that you leverage, business partnership money. With this kind of thing, activating the money house, the 8th house, which is good for you in the next year. You're going to accumulate wealth in the next year. A lot of you Scorpio risings, you could have an opportunity for money and real estate. That means buying or selling, right? So pay attention to that March timeframe for that lucky break. Now you're letting go, releasing. This is March 4th and 5th, as well as 2nd house, hustle. This is working hard for your money. He works hard for his money. My son's a Scorpio rising. He works way too hard for his money. So letting go of that. Now, this is the house of inheritance, and some people will maybe stand to inherit when Jupiter is trining the inheritance house where the North Node is. So be aware of that as well. If there's an elderly person in your family system, there could be an inheritance pending, and news of that would come through this. Transit with Mars in the 8th house. A lot of energy is being directed towards finances in the month of May and June. And resources with your spouse or marriage partner as well. It's the spouse's money as well. Anyone entangled in spousal money, this is a good news that's happening here for your spouse as well. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and especially the ascendants. Okay, look at this. This is going to be goodness down in your 3rd house of short trips and travel, siblings, skills-based learning and education, scrying and oracleship and divination, the house of the goddess. Is there any chance that by any means you might see a scryer or a tarot reader on the 4th or 5th of March, or even an astrologer And that could bring really good news to you. Also, you might have good news from a sibling. You might take a short domestic trip, and that will have profound good news and implications. It's going to positively impact this North Node in your 7th house of marriage and business partnerships, and sometimes clients and sometimes audience. All depends on your whole chart, but it is a house of other. And you're having this moving away from focus on yourself, Sagittarius. Is less sacred selflessness here in 2021 as you try to figure out what is most important to you in the house of significant others in your life. Some breakthrough with a sibling affecting your life, perhaps, some breakthrough with on a trip affecting your life in a good way during the merry month of March around the 4th and the 5th. Capricorn, sun, moon, and especially ascendant. And this is going to be something you're experiencing as a money opportunity. It's in the house of income and possession, self-worth, vocation, and voice. Many meanings on March 4th and 5th, where there's lucky news, lucky ideas, or lucky opportunities in the financial corridor of the chart. You can see that you're being propelled to things in the workhouse. This is your employees if you're an employer. This is your colleagues if you're employed. Opportunities in the house of employment. This is also the house of protocols for health and wellness to avoid sickness, in the house of sickness. So an opportunity could come for you as well in that area. But really, this 2 of 6 looks like work and money, luck, or opportunity to me, okay? At the same time, you're softening the South Node, reliance on the 12th house. Now, the 12th house is subtle enough. South Node transit, let go of your self-defeating habits and patterns, maybe. South Node transit in your 12th house, let go of preoccupation with spiritual life. Not time to hit the mountain ashram cave for a lot of you Capricorns now. It's actually time for you to be more in the world, in active service to the world. All right, 6th house ultimately is a service house. How do we serve the greater good? Anyway, some good breakthroughs financially here and something to do with the work environment. Here I am, Aquarius rising, sun, moon, and ascendant people. Well, this is all about, us. It's about our identity. It's about our body. It's about our sense of who we are physically and mentally and spiritually. It's the character we're playing. And when a little bolt of goodness happens here with Jupiter and Mercury, it's good news that maybe we self-generate, honestly. I mean, maybe we make our opportunity here. Who knows? And also it could just be a real good news if you're like waiting for a health test to come back, or, you had a problem with your body and you have a breakthrough on March 4th and 5th. Now, Jupiter, Mercury together are talking over to your North Node in the house of children, the house of inspiration, pleasure, play, sexuality, romance, money, luck, windfalls, North Node there through 21. I'm going to say all Aquarius risings, especially Aquarius risings, play the lottery for fun. I mean, don't make it like, don't count your chicken eggs there. They're not hatching for sure, but I'm saying it's a windfall house, a money luck house, speculation house. It wouldn't hurt to gamble a bit here in this year. Now, something is trying to expand with the North Node here. And now there's a lucky break on March 4th and 5th in connection to that. Lucky news. Yeah, you check your lottery ticket, ding, 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 you won. Or if it's about romance for some of us Aquarius, is information, news, and breakthroughs coming through messengers, God messages, things to you, Mercury, about a romantic opportunity, maybe. Letting go, softening into the house of belonging, tribes, club, allies, friends, community, affiliations. I find that an interesting one is Aquarius rising for me. We are all about groups of people, Aquarius risings. And now this South Node transit in 2021, all through the year, is asking us to let go of our affiliations and our belongings. And I'm laughing because I love this Clubhouse app, and I'm doing a lot more there than I've ever been doing. And I'm letting go of Facebook. I kind of find Facebook toxic, frankly, and I'm letting go of that community of my Facebook people, and hopefully to drive them over to Clubhouse with me once the app becomes public. So yeah, that could be very literal. But if you have outworn your friendships, that are friendships of belonging to a crew, a group, a club, a society, this will help you let go of that, and you're moving towards this more intense creative cauldron of the 5th house. All right. but now there's a lucky breakthrough. So for the muse to speak to you in a powerful way, maybe as well, and a breakthrough idea creatively. Finally, Pisces, sun, moon, and especially ascendant. This is going to be very inward. This is all this energy is in your 12th house. I mean, you've had a stellium there since January, and you may not have felt the full brunt of it. Well, the Saturn was invisible, and so was Jupiter invisible. Now they're visible in the sky. But holy moly, your dreams at night. Please, Pisces, get a dream journal. Jupiter transiting your 12th is classically the big dream transit. Time for the guru, guide, and dispeller of darkness, Jupiter, to pierce the veil and come to you in meditations, reveries, trancing, shamanic journeys, and dreams. And now Mercury joins him on the 4th and 5th of March. What big dream, what big woo idea, what big insight can you have in March? And, you know, if you undo yourself, habits, addictions, and self-doubt patterns and stuff, well, this is a healing year with Jupiter going through there. And Saturn will be there until 2023 March. There's a longer arc of letting go and healing a lot of old worn stuff in your life, especially for the rising Pisces people. And you can see the North Node is propelling you towards home, land, and real estate. This is good news around the real estate story for you in the first week of March. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home or moving or relocating or renting something new could come to you, but in your inner dreams or visions, maybe not like in your email box, like you have an idea, a revelation, and insight. And, you know, the South Node says, let go of the hustle of, not the hustle, let go of the worrying about what the world thinks of you this year. Your reputation and status in the world are not the most important thing for you to focus on. Let go, let go, let go there. But with Mars here for the next 6 weeks in the 4th house, you know, all through basically March into April, you're probably going to be moving or relocating, some of you Pisces, in that 6 weeks. It sounds precipitous, I know, but it's possible. If you're not, then it's just renovating or fixing up or decorating or constructing new parts of your home, most likely. Watch out for conflict in the home with Mars there. If people argue when Mars goes through the 4th house with your domestic mates, whether they're your spouse, your family, your roommates, you know, conflict in the home. But good news coming from your inner visions and dreams. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks for listening, hanging in there for the whole thing. Stay tuned for a new video coming out in a couple of days about the COVID pandemic arc, done with 3 astrologers of mine, friends of mine, or 4. And we did a panel for my Astro Tarot Tuesdays group. And you can always join my Patreon, where every Tuesday I get together at 7 p.m. and we talk about astrology, and I do charts, and we do predictions, and we do personal questions. And I also do a tarot reader, comes with me as well, or at least 1 or 2. That's why it's Astro Tarot Tuesdays. And yeah, stay tuned for all my stuff. I'm going to try to ramp up production to like 3 videos a week to see if that changes the algorithm at all. Otherwise, I'm just sitting in algorithmic mud lately. So I don't know why. I feel like I got the algorithmic timeout corner here in YouTube land. All right, ciao, guys.